Yo, welcome back to Dolphins United, the platform for Dolphins. You heard me. We back in the house. I promised y'all that we was going to have a video tonight. So here goes that video breaking down exactly why Flores got fired. Now, there's a lot of speculation out there, right? And we're going to get straight into it. There's a lot of speculation out there. He didn't get along with guys in the front office. He didn't get along with the players. He didn't get along with Tua, Greer specifically. He didn't get along with these guys. Some people said that he's the one that didn't want Deshaun Jackson. Some people say he's the one that wanted Deshaun Jackson. Some people say he didn't want Tua, and then others are saying it's because he wanted Tua and Tua failed him. And there's so much going on, right? There's so much out there. So I'm here to help make sense of it all and try to come up with maybe the reason why, all right? Although we'll never fully know because they're not going to give full details on exactly why, but to maybe, add some common sense to things and try to figure it out somewhat to see maybe this might be the reason or that might be the reason why he is gone and not the coach anymore. And then at the end, I'll give you some candidates that I have in my mind. One of them is crazy and it's out of the box, but it just might work. All right? It just might work if the Dolphins are willing to do it. And I'll give you 4 candidates that I would like to see them go after. One of them, once again, is a long shot. But, hey, you just never know. All right, so let's get into it. We know why he got fired based on what we're hearing from the owner, okay? It's not X's and O's. It's not anything to do with how he coaches on the field. It's off the field, all right? He was rubbing guys the wrong way in the front office, and some of the players he had beef with. Known facts, he had beef with Calvin Oy, all right? And Calvin Oy ended up leaving, and I don't know if y'all remember this, but he kind of took a shot at Brian Flores. They asked him about Brian Flores, and he was like, next question, no comment. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the way he said it, you already knew, okay, something happened between those two. Anyway, he had an issue. Minka Fitzpatrick had an issue with him. He ended up going out the door. Turns out Tua had an issue, all right? Now, let's address this right now. Some people are saying because they're hearing that Tua had an issue that Tua might have a problem being coached hard, okay? That's not true at all. It couldn't be further from the truth. How do I know that, right? I don't know Tua that well. How do I know that couldn't be further from the truth? Let's look at who Tua just came from. One, okay? First and foremost, his dad is his biggest critic and is harder on him than anybody else, okay? His dad was a disciplinarian, as he puts it, and he was a guy that demanded perfection out of Tua day in and day out. And if you've seen the documentary, you know this. His pops was no easygoing dude, okay? He was on Tua, all right? And that's why Tua's in the position he's in now, because his dad really worked him, okay? One. Then he goes to Alabama, where he has the hardest coach in college football who coaches his guys like they're already in the NFL and they ain't making no money, or they weren't before the NIL came along. You go from Nick Saban to Brian Flores, it got better for you, all right? Because Nick Saban is the hardest coach there is. Then that's in the NFL, and that's in college. He's the same way, all right? He's the same exact way. That's why he went back to college, because the way he was trying to be in the NFL wasn't going to work, all right? It wasn't going to work for the NFL because you can't be that way. You can't be that hard-nosed in the NFL. They're not going to buy it, all right? Whereas in college, they're going to buy it. They're going to take it from you because they know that you're there to develop them and get them to the next level. Tua doesn't have a problem being coached hard. Now, he might have had a problem with Flores wanting somebody else. See, a lot of people are saying that Flores didn't want Deshaun and that he wanted Tua, and Tua just happened to flame out on him and makes him look stupid. I can't see it that way. All right. It's easy to say that, right? Because it fits the narrative that they wanted Deshaun and he wanted Tua. I don't see it that way. I can't see it that way anymore. I can't see it that way because apparently he wasn't cooperating, right? He wasn't cooperating and he had beef with Tua. If he had beef with Tua and he wasn't being cooperative and he wasn't being, what would they say? He had a lack of communication with them. It's probably because he wanted Deshaun. They weren't moving enough in the direction to get Deshaun. So he just kept, throwing them under the bus pretty much. All right. He kept throwing them under the bus. He kept adding fire to them. He kept saying what he wanted to say in the press conferences and kept pointing the finger at Chris Grier. Okay. And he kept doing that. If you go back and look, he kept pointing the finger at Chris Grier because he felt like he was the sacrificial lamb having to answer these questions. He was getting irritated, so he kept putting the blame back on them. Rather than saving face, he kept throwing the front office under the bus with this whole Tua Deshaun thing, right? Kept saying that Tua is his guy, Tua is the starting quarterback, Tua is the starting quarterback, Tua is the starting quarterback, knowing full well that's not what he wanted. He wanted Deshaun, but since he has to keep answering these questions and they're not pulling the trigger on Deshaun, all right, they're taking their sweet time, he's going to throw them under the bus. All right, so that's how I feel it kept going down. I feel like he was transparent with Tua and saying, hey, I want to move on in a different direction. We'll see what the front office is able to do. But for now, you're my quarterback. I'm going to try to help you as much as possible. All right. Tua also mentioned, I don't know if y'all remember this. Tua mentioned that he knows that there's some people in the organization that, aren't fully on board. All right. I believe one of those guys that he was talking about when he said that, it's Flores. All right. And because they're saying now that the relationship between him and Tua and Flores had deteriorated, and with Grier, same way, I feel like he had a problem with Tua, wanted Watson. Watson wanted to come here because of Flores. Also, the fact that not Flores, but Grier and Ross wanted to draft Tua. Flores, of course, co-signing that. Wanted to see the offense progress to a point. That didn't happen. All of that led to the demise because if you think about it, Flores didn't want to start Tua, right? Flores starts Fitz to start out the season. Was cool with starting Fitz for the rest of the year. All right? Then, out of nowhere, Flores starts Tua, okay? Out of nowhere. Once again, Fitz did nothing to lose the job. Absolutely not. Nothing to lose the job whatsoever. The next thing you know, Tua is starting. He goes to Changeli. He asks Changeli straight up, do you feel like Tua could start for us right now? Changeli tells him, no, Tua is not ready. He starts him anyway. Okay? Starts him anyway. Now, conversation between him and Changeli probably got ugly. Changeli bounces, okay? Next offseason, he's out of there because it's like, okay, I told you he's not ready. You did it anyway. I believe that Chris Grier wanted him to start, okay? Because Chris Grier just wants to see the progression. But I believe Flores not wanting him to start threw him in there because he's like, I know he's not ready, but I want Grier to see this, all right? But then now he has to stick with him because he's got to give him the growing pains. But He's like, well, I need to win. If he's not playing well, I'm taking him out of the game. So against the Broncos, against the Raiders, he yanks him. Okay? And that probably rubbed Chris Greer the wrong way because obviously he's not going to give him a heads up on that. He's going to do what he feels like it's best for the team. He didn't want to start him in the first place. He's playing like trash. I'm pulling him. All right? I'm pulling him. That probably rubs Greer the wrong way, the fact that he did that. It probably didn't help Tua as well, okay? Feel confident. And then come to find out now, fast forward, they want Deshaun Watson, okay? And Flores is apparently leading the way on that. Tua gets hurt in the season. He has Brissett as the backup because he plans on doing the same thing. If Tua's not working out, then I could go to the Brissett and I could win with Brissett so I can get to the playoffs. They lose with Brissett. That rubs Chris Greer the wrong way because that's Flores' guy that he wanted in there, right? Tua's ready to come back against the Raiders, against the Ravens after he messed up his finger. Apparently, Flores didn't want to start him, okay? Flores wanted to start Brissett. He starts Brissett. Brissett's playing, gets hurt. He puts Tua in, and then the rest is history, right? Flores, it seems as if, wasn't on board fully with Tua. Sour about the fact that they never pulled the trigger on Watson, all right, which would have saved his job. All right, it would have gave him another year. On top of that, is sour on Tua so much that doesn't give him an offensive line, which obviously Greer is not absolved from any of this, by the way. He has the authority to sign the right guys on the offense and everything like that. But who hires the coaches? That's Flores. Flores decides that after going through all the interviews, the best two guys for the job were the guys that's already on the team, all right, which is going to bring up a second issue here. All right, and I know I'm all over the place, but I'm trying to paint the full picture. He doesn't bring in anybody that's competent on the offense. Offensive line, coach not competent, and then he brings in two of the same guys that were on the team at tight ends coach and running back coach to run the offense, and then also brings in Tua's guy, okay, to run the QB coaching room, and on top of that, to call plays at the beginning of the year, all right? So he makes it seem like he's trying to, do the best thing for Tua, but at the same time knowing that he's not giving it his all because there's no way, that was going to work with first-time coaches coming in trying to teach Tua and then having his QB coach. Turns out it doesn't work. They go 1-7. Then they finally start winning because they finally got their act together halfway through the season, and then it starts looking good for him, but Tua's still not playing the best. Now, you could say that Tua's not playing the best because Tua just wasn't making the plays, or you could say that he wasn't set up to win, all right, which I believe Tua wasn't set up to win and Tua wasn't making the plays. So it's a little bit of both there, but Flores was not giving his all into Tua. Tua knew that, but Tua had to save face and continue playing because he wants a job, all right? So if you want a job, you can't pout about it. Even if the cards are stacked against you, you do what you got to do. I believe Ross and Greer caught on to all that, and that's why he no longer has a job. It's like you did Tua dirty, you threw us under the bus, and you went 9-8, and you lost 7 straight, and then you finally won 7 straight. You're not safe. We're just going to go ahead and move on because not only do you go rogue and you do your own thing and you are on a power struggle, but on top of that, you want too much say, all right? The reason why Chan Gailey's gone is because you didn't want to listen to him. The reason that Mika is gone is because you didn't want to listen to him. The reason that Van Noy is gone is because he wanted some control in your mind. The reason that you didn't sign any veteran guys is because you want to make sure, veteran coaches is because you want to make sure you have a finger in every part of the team. All right. And it's something that Big O was saying that I didn't agree with, that's happening to be true. He just was micromanaging the whole squad. Okay. He was micromanaging the whole squad, and it wasn't going to work because you micromanage everything. You can't do your job. Okay. If you're over here trying to figure out what they're doing, you can't do your job. And it led to his demise, in my opinion. Okay. All of these things are adding up to me to be, he didn't want Tua, but being that he had Tua, he had to try to make it work, but he wasn't going to give it his all because at the end of the day, he wants Deshaun Watson. And the only way he can get Deshaun Watson is if Tua doesn't look that good. Plain and simple. Okay? So he's going to work it in a way where he makes it look like he's trying. All right? This is the whole thing coming back full circle. He makes it look like he's trying so that Tua can fail and so that he can get Deshaun Watson in the building. Why would Stephen Ross say he's not worried about Deshaun Watson? Is because he never really cared to get Deshaun Watson in the first place because he was on board with Tua because he trusts Chris Grier, who was also on board with Tua. Now, is it the right decision over Justin Herbert? No, it's not the right decision over Justin Herbert, but he trusts Chris Grier. Hence, Chris Grier still has a job today. Okay, he trusts him. He's the one that made the evaluation on Tua. Of course, Flores co-signed because they couldn't get Joe Burrow, who Flores wanted, which that was the right decision to want him. All right, they really both wanted him. They couldn't get the deal done. They ended up settling for Tua over Herbert. Wrong decision. We find out now. But Grier feels like Tua could have been a lot better, a lot further along with the right type of offense. Flores refused to do that because Flores wants Deshaun Watson. That's why he's gone. That's why he's gone. Because he didn't do his part to make sure that Tua had the best success possible. Okay? That's why he's gone, guys. In my opinion. Once again, this is my opinion. But I'm trying to make it make sense, common sense-wise. You put it all together, and that's what makes sense to me. All right? And that's why I went through that. All of that, what I went through, saying it, even probably confusing y'all to get all the way back to this point, he sabotaged Tua. He sabotaged Tua. Plain and simple. They caught on to it. He's out of there. All right? He's out of there. Now, they're not going to put that out in plain English for you because if they do that, they look bad. All right? They look bad. They're trying to save face with Tua, of course. It's not that Tua is guaranteed a job because he still didn't play great. He didn't. He's not guaranteed a job. But they felt like he deserved a better shake of things than he got, a better chance than he was given by Flores because Flores just didn't believe in him after the first year. They're ready to move on. All right? They're ready to move on. We have to move on. I wish Flores the best. I wish he didn't get cut. I wish the situation never happened the way it happened because the defense was balling out and it was still winning us games even though the offense was subpar. We were still winning games. We found a way. We found a way, and we could have won like that. But that's not the way we are doing it moving forward. I believe they end up getting an offensive guy in there to try to help cultivate Tua, give him a year, and if he doesn't pan out, move on. I believe that's what's going to end up happening if they don't get an Aaron Rodgers type guy or a veteran or maybe even Deshaun Watson, but I don't even think Deshaun Watson is going to be an option. I think it'll more likely be Aaron Rodgers or a veteran guy, maybe even a Kirk Cousins to come in here for a few years and maybe even compete with Tua and see what happens next training camp and see who's going to start and then move on from there. If it's Aaron Rodgers, there's no competing. But like a Kirk Cousins, maybe there's a competition there. If it's Aaron Rodgers, he's starting. All right, we know that. We know that. It's not rocket science. All right. Russell Wilson, I doubt he comes if Tua is still here. So that I don't think is on the table. But then you still have Deshaun Watson, and then you have Aaron Rodgers, who I think they should go for depending on what kind of coach they get. Talking about coaches, all right? There are 4 coaches that I would like to see the Dolphins get. One of them, y'all going to say I'm smoking crack, but hey, I'm throwing my list out there. All right. Number one is probably the most possible, Doug Peterson. And I'm going to give you a why. All right, I know this video is a little long, but there's a lot of news that came out today, so I wanted to go ahead and make sure I got these candidates in there before they start rattling off who they're planning on talking to, if they haven't already. Doug Peterson, he's already been a head coach. He pretty much got fired under the same conditions as Flores. You know, his quarterback was injured. He had Hurts in there. He didn't really believe in Hurts that much, and he kind of did Hurts dirty on the last game, to be honest, not starting him. That kind of rubbed the front office the wrong way. He gets fired, okay? But he's already been a head coach. He can put a staff together. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback in Foles, who would probably come as a package deal out of Chicago. Come on over and be a backup quarterback, which would be a great thing for us because I like Foles as a backup quarterback. So, you know, probably a package deal. He could put an offensive staff together. Defense, hopefully they can hold on to Josh Boyd. I'll pay him whatever he needs to be paid to stay right where he's at because I like the defense. It's going in the right direction. And then, you know, he's made mistakes. He learns from his mistakes and he gets a second chance at it. I believe he's better for it. He's an offensive mind as well. He can help Tua get in the right direction or whatever other quarterback we bring in. That's number one. Doug Peterson's my number one guy. Number two, all right, this is the crazy one. This is the crazy one, man. And he could have been number one, but I'm not going to put him number one because he's not as realistic. Sean Payton. A lot of y'all, I'm going to let y'all settle on that. Yeah, you heard me right. I did. I said it. Sean Payton. Now, why do I want Sean Payton? Let me go ahead and say that right now. I want Sean Payton because he's the best in the business at putting offenses together for short quarterbacks. Drew Brees. Plain and simple. That is why I want him. Okay? I want him because I know if we get him, he can bring Drew Brees in, and Drew Brees can show Tua how it's done. And if Tua doesn't get it from Drew Brees himself and Sean Payton, he ain't got what it is, what he needs to be a good quarterback. We can move on. All right. We know at that point, if he can't be good with them, he'll never be good. We can move on after next year. But in order to get Sean Payton, you got to trade for Sean Payton. All right. Now, a lot of people might not know this. Yes, you can actually trade draft picks for coaches. Okay. So the only way we can get him is if we trade a 1, a 2, and probably something else. Whatever we were going to give Deshaun Watson, you take some off of it, you give it to the Saints for Sean Payton, who need draft picks. We get that deal done. We get Sean Payton. He puts the offense together, which we know he can do. We move forward with Tua for a year, and then moving on after that, we know we're not firing him after 3 years. He's going to get a good amount of time to make this work, to make this run. Hopefully he can work with Greer, and then we move on that way. All right? So that's what I would like to see get done. I doubt it gets done. So the next best thing would be Pete Carmichael, all right, who is the offensive coordinator the last 13 years for the Saints. Well, he's been with the organization for at least 13 years with the Saints. He once again knows Drew Brees. He's got that connection. He could bring Drew Brees in to help Tua on the side. I would like to get him in as our head coach. Yes, he hasn't done it before, to my knowledge, but he's been with Sean Payton for a very long time. I would like to get him in. He's 50 years old. That's not a problem. Get him in there, and let's see what we can do. Okay, let's see what we can do. If we can't get him, next best thing, Eric Bieniemy. All right, now Eric Bieniemy doesn't necessarily call all the plays, but he did help get Pat Mahomes to where he is right now. Tua is no Pat Mahomes, has nowhere near the ability, but maybe he can cultivate something out of Tua, coach him up a little different than he's been coached up, still run the RPOs, which they do, and they have creative plays, which they was able to showcase some in Miami even this year. What he'll be able to do with Waddle would be next level. What he'll be able to do with Gesicki would be next level. These are the type of things. The offense is structured in a way where if you bring in a guy like Eric Bieniemy, he can get the best out of those guys, and then we're off and running our offense. Once again, as long as we keep the defense intact. These are the 4 guys I have. They're all offensive-minded coaches. These are the 4 offensive coaches that I have in mind for our squad. They would all make sense to me. If you have anybody else in mind, all right, now, mind you, they're probably looking for an experienced guy, okay? So I'm going with guys that are experienced guys, not necessarily as head coaches, but at least as coordinators, been there for a while, not the hot guy that just became a coordinator and then you're hiring him right after that. No, these are guys that are long, successful guys in their positions, whether a head coach or an offensive coordinator, been there for a while, know the ins and outs, and are ready to either make the next step or ready for a second chance. Or in the case of Sean Payton, you just traded for him like they did for John Gruden back in the day. I'll holler at y'all in the next one. Please put in the comment section what you feel about what I said, and then I'll see y'all later on. If there's any more news, of course, I'll break it, and then we'll talk about it. I'm out.